being brainwashed at an exponentially faster rate than your grandparents were. True or false?
I say true.
I say false.
And how come so?
All right, so my whole thing is that I'm totally open to being wrong, and I do understand that this is a very nuanced discussion. However, pre-cell phone era, so this is the caveat here, before or after cell phones, would you say propaganda is worse? That's the real debate here. I say it was much worse before cell phones. I look at our generation today, and I know far more people who are willing to advocate for themselves against their doctors, who understand the pharmaceutical industry is an industry designed for profit, who understand that there's corruption in the governments. But if you were to talk about that to your elders, specifically your grandparents, or if you're lucky, your great-grandparents, most of them still trust their doctor's advice, still think the government would never do anything like that. That tells me that pre-cell phone era, information was centralized at a much higher rate than today and controlled. And so fewer people had access to alternative views. And that's my argument. I think that propaganda was much worse. Hence, look at Hitler in the 40s and what that ended up concluding to mass genocide, and how he was able to do that simply with minimal media because it was so controlled and centralized. However, disagrees.
I believe that while it's true that there was a centralization of propaganda back in the day, and it was harder to have any alternative modes of expression, there is such rampant amounts of propaganda that there is even more confusion. And while it is true there are more people who are awake now, becoming more aware of propaganda and whatnot, I believe that because of how severe the propaganda is, the average person sees at least 3,000 forms of advertisements a day. That's a shit ton. Some people see even far more than that. And so there's just this huge, massive confusion, and we're wired as social creatures, so we have a harder time with true logic, critical thinking, rationality. That's a skill that has to really be taught, that it's not as natural to us. So, between that and the fact that there are worse horrors of today, including current genocides and more slavery than ever before in history happening now, things like that, I advocate that it's worse now. And for instance, one of the previous directors of the CIA said, our mission will be successful once the American people are completely brainwashed, which we're pretty much at now, besides those few who are awake.
What do you guys think?